Create an event, they say. It'll be easy, they say. Anyways, finally figured out Facebook. I'm just not that smart, I think, which makes sense. I mean, I'm actually pretty smart, but Facebook is overcomplicating things by saying set up a live event, it'll make it so much better. So many more people will see what you're doing. That has not been true so far, and it has made it much more difficult to actually join the live feed. So obviously, wham wham, it makes me a little quanky, but it's okay to be upset sometimes. Just feel it, acknowledge it, and move through it, right? All right, it's. I'm still getting over a little bit of a cough, obviously, and today was my one of my homeschool days, so I read a lot of books, and my voice is struggling just a little bit. So I probably won't stay too long if I don't have somebody come in and want some free coaching in the chat. Obviously I've got something I want to talk about, but it doesn't have to be long if it's not going to add extra value to anybody's life or situation right now. So if the right person's not getting it, they will eventually. Just got to know I'm here. All right. So first, a recap of what we're doing here. Excuse me. We are talking about the 9 steps for the ADHD man to radically improve his communication and instantly deepen his relationships. So, over the past 5 days, we've hit the first 5 steps of that, and we're starting to round out the back end of the program. But let's just remind ourselves what we've talked about so far. Number 1, learn to hit send on the first text. Stop waiting for perfection for action because it's never going to come. Start embracing the mess and acting in in the imperfect. It's okay to just get the message out sometimes and communicate with the people you love and let them know that you are thinking about them, even if you can't say it in the most eloquent way ever. Just hit send on the first text. Stop re-editing it over and over again. Send. Boop. Don't leave them on red. Number two, say what you mean and mean what you say. Um, be thoughtful in your words, and choose them wisely as if they have power and are important, because they have power and they are important. The words that you say affect people in ways that you may not intentionally mean to affect them. So be thoughtful, say what you mean, and then follow through with what you say and mean what you say. um, that means in the front end, you're having forethought when you're saying what you mean, and you're having follow through in the back end when you mean what you say. Say what you mean what you say, and do that often. Try your best to be that person who is never misunderstood, because whenever you're misunderstood, it's not your fault. You're giving consistent and honest messages of uh, forethought and follow through. Number three, develop a truth addiction. Get into it. Get used to telling the truth, and um, letting it be the way that you chase the adrenaline rush. Um, telling somebody something that I've been hiding, like the hiding part is like one of the worst feelings I've ever felt my entire life, of feeling just false and disingenuous. But the part where I share that truth with somebody finally is one of the best feelings I've ever had. And then, like I said the other day, having somebody embrace you is a high that you can only achieve a few times ever. And um, you're never gonna experience that if you don't ever give anybody a chance to embrace you and your truth. So develop a truth addiction. And that's number four. Become your own best wingman. This one's kind of cheesy, but I like it. Like, I'm cheesy, so that's why I wrote this thing, as I'm a cheese ball. And becoming your own wingman. Or your own best wingman is it's a philosophy that I came up with because that's something very tangible to me. Thinking of me being the guy who stands behind myself at the bar and hypes me up and is there for me when things go bad, and make sure if I get too sloppy at the bar or whatever, that I get home safe. Like, all those things should be what you are to yourself. You should be that person who gives yourself positive leeway to mess up and have grace. And I think that is becoming your own best wingman. So I've been talking about this a lot today. Number five is pour your foundation. And I made a post today that kind of went a little deeper in that. Like, pour your foundation as if you know the storm is coming, because it comes for us all. Like, there's going to be cloudy days, and there's going to be torrential rains on some of those days. And what that means is, whenever you don't have any values or beliefs that you've actually defined, and that you refer to when making your decisions, you are you're like a plastic bag floating in the wind, like to quote Katy Perry, because there's nothing to ground you. And that's why I say, like, pour your foundation, like the storm is coming. Don't just give yourself one principle to operate off of. Give yourself five or six. Like, give yourself as many uh oh gosh, as many um not risers, sure, as many risers in your foundation as you need to make sure that you are grounded whenever the storm comes, whenever the stress comes, whenever the bad situation comes, the arguments, the whatever. Because if you don't have that, you're going to operate in a way that is not going to be conducive to the kind of person you want to be. Um, and that's just because when we are stressed, we go into our survival mode. We go into fight, flight, or freeze. And if you don't have something deep in your subconscious that becomes it becomes like embedded in your lower brain. In fight, fight, or freeze, you're gonna, refer to anger or shutting down or lashing out instead of the things that have become your foundation. But if you build your foundation in a way that you honestly align with it, and you move forward in a way that these things are your truth, these are what you want for your life and what you deserve in your life and what you're going to go get in your life, whenever you get stressed, you're going to refer back to those and say, acting like lashing out that way is not how the person I'm trying to be would act. Like, that's not going to get me closer to my goals. That's not what I value. I value, you know, whatever it is, love, learning, self-respect, whatever, hustle behavior, whatever you value. I I'm pretty sure it's not tearing yourself or other people down. So again, pour your foundation like you know the storm is coming. So now we've created that compass, which is going to give us our direction whenever we're, you know, in the stormy waters, and we know it's easy to not have any idea where north is. So we've got our compass. Now, what you do once you get that foundation and that compass is get lost. Like, you've accepted those foundational beliefs and values. You have something that is going to bring you back in order to really start to cement this into your being. You're gonna have to get lost, like not like in a scram like the 1930s way, but you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone. You're gonna have to go somewhere where you're not used to being, somewhere where is not home, somewhere that's strange and different. You're gonna have to get lost, and I suggest that by doing something you've never done, taking up an offer that you've been putting off for a long time because you feel like you don't deserve to have friends, or if you lose 10 more pounds and you could go, you know try this outfit on, or whatever. Go do something that you've been putting off or that makes you uncomfortable because you're afraid people will see you. If you can do that, and you can rely on those, on your core values and beliefs, it's going to make you a much stronger person, and it's going to galvanize those values and beliefs into your being, and it's going to let you become a stronger person, and a person who is even more of an amazing version of yourself, because you now have been through a little bit of a fire. You've given yourself a win. Like, you put yourself in a situation where you're going to be tried a little bit, but you did it. So you earned yourself a win by setting yourself up for success. um, Growth is on the other side of discomfort, but you have to go through it. Like, you can't get to growth without going through discomfort. Like, I will say that again, you can't get to the growth without going through the discomfort. I mean, does everybody remember growing pains? I remember waking up in the middle of the night whenever I was like 13, 14 years old, and my knees would just be aching like I was like a 45-year-old ex football player, because I was growing. And in order for me to hit that next level of height, I had to go through some discomfort. I had to stretch. I had to lengthen the muscles. The fiber of my being had to change. And that's the same thing that's going to happen as you try to evolve and grow into the next version of yourself, which is hopefully more in line with who you authentically are. Like, I'm not going to say that if you apply these 9 value or these 9 steps, you're going to be your authentic self. No system is going to create that for you. But I'm trying to give people steps and techniques that have helped for me to get to a place where I accept myself, I would say 10, 20 times more than I did 2, 3 years ago. Like, I don't hide anymore. I don't lie anymore. I don't act a way for a situation anymore. I am comfortable with myself, and I'm comfortable being in any situations that I have now. Like, I'm not gonna say like I'm going out every day and doing something uncomfortable, but like, I've done a lot of it. let's let's talk about getting uncomfortable or getting lost. Um, for my birthday, I turned. I'm getting to the point where I don't even know how old I am anymore, but I turned 38 or 39. I'm getting old, and I didn't do anything special. I didn't really want to do anything special, but my wife made me a really great meal, seafood pasta. But before dinner was ready, uh, three, 3 or 4 in the afternoon, um, maybe let's say 4 or 5. My neighbor invited me over to have some whiskey and just kind of chill with him. We do this every now and then, and he had a friend over that I'd met before, and he had another friend I'd never met before. This is not discomfort. Like to me, meeting new people is exciting. Like I get energy from meeting new people, but anytime I am in a situation where I'm the only black person in a group of multiple white people, I get I just am a little wary. Like I've been, I'm married to a white woman. I've been into so many situations where I'm around white people all the time to where I'm very comfortable around white people, but sometimes like things happen and I just worry that something like that's going to happen again. And this day was one of those reasons why I worry about stuff like this. Um anyways, we're watching the football game, sampling some whiskeys, having a grand old time, and the guy that I didn't know had made a lot of conversation about him being from Alabama. Like just so much like Alabama. Like we were watching an Alabama game, so it wasn't totally random. But he just, kept saying like, "Oh, we don't they don't think like us down here," or just lots of mention of his Alabama. And then also like he was just really like hateful of the players in the other team. And if you don't know this, a lot of football players are black, and it seemed like very, very aggressive for no reason. And I was like, man, what's going on with them? They were winning by a lot, and he just seemed to have this like hatred in his heart. Anyways, I'm talking to the other two guys, having a great time, and my neighbor goes to uh, get something off the grill. He's handling some business. The other guy I was talking to gets a text message and gets kind of sucked into his phone. So it's just me and me and friend for a friend three, and he made it like I don't want to go into what the joke was, but he made a really racist joke, like so really overtly racist, and it was really definitely not funny, but it was just like it was so nonsensical because it was so not funny that he just was trying to be racist. Like there was no joke there whatsoever. He just wanted to make mention of something that delineated between our races in a way that put me down and lifted him up. And the reason why I tell this story is that that still wasn't the discomfort. The point where I had to get lost and go do something I'd never done before was how I reacted. How I've reacted in these situations in the past, whenever it's been just like blatant outright racism, has been one of two ways. Either I've shrunk and uh, diluted or hid myself to not have any conflict in this situation, or I've bucked up and I've been aggressive and loud and proved what they gave them the rise that they were trying to get out of me. In this situation, I'd 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 found myself. I'd stopped trying to prove myself to other people. So when he said this, I saw him. Like I looked at him and I was like, at first I said, "What did you say?" And he repeated his joke because he wanted to put me down. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you said that." His other friend looked up and in complete shock, the one that heard it, my neighbor was not at the table at that moment. And he's like, "Why did you say that?" And I said, "I know why you said it. Like he is trying to put me down because he feels like he doesn't really feel like he's fitting in with you guys as well as he should be. He wants to feel like more like one of the boys. So he's taking his opportunity to take shots at me to try to make himself feel and look better. And I see you, man. Like I've been there before. It's not worth it." And in that moment, I saw something else that I'd seen before because I'd seen the place where I'd put others down to try to raise myself up. What I saw was the spin out, the cycle begin of why did I say that? I'm such an idiot. Like there's a reason nobody likes me. And I felt bad for him. Like I honestly did. Is like as messed up as the joke was and as bigoted and ignorant as his heart felt, I still felt bad for him because that feeling of like having no like foundation, no strength in your identity, like it was so familiar to me and that like now whenever I see it in somebody else, I can't help but feel sorry for them. And so I was like, you know what? Listen, man, like I don't want to like I'm having a great time over here. I'm going to be leaving for dinner soon anyway, so just apologize and I can forget what you said and I can move on. Like I will forgive you, not forget. I will forgive you and move on. And he was like, "Well, you're not going to move on. Like I know what you think of me. I know what you think of me." And he's like, and then he went on like, "I know what people like you say about people like me." And I was like, "Dude, you were just doubling down on this thing." I was like, "You don't know me, and you don't know anybody who's like me because I'm one of a kind." And this he was like, "No, no, you think I'm a racist? Fuck. You think I'm a racist piece of shit." And I was like, "No, man. I think that you're acting super ignorant right now, but I think that you're hurt and scared. Like that's what I think you are." And he was like, "Man, no, no, like whatever. You think I'm a." He wasn't even hearing me at this point. He was so far in his head at this point. That cyclical thought had started, and I don't know that I could have broken through. So I was like, "Listen, man, like just apologize." And he's sat there for a second with that. I attribute it to like ADHD rage where your feelings are so out of control that you can't speak anymore. Like whether you're mad at yourself or somebody else or whatever, that your emotion has taken over your ability to communicate and you are no longer able to say words. Like that's what I saw in him. And he just like sat there staring into like the distance for a few minutes and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't know why I said that. It was really dumb." Like I was just like, "I'm such a piece of shit. I'm such an idiot." And I was like, "Listen, man, I'm not gonna like I don't want you to ruin this night for everybody. Like I forgive you. Like let's move on. You said the thing. It was stupid. We've all said dumb things. I've never said anything like that, but I've said dumb shit and I've hurt people. I've tried to lift myself up by putting other people down. I've done all that. So I can forgive that if you can just move on." And we spent about 2 minutes or so like back and forth on that. And he's like, "All right, man, like, yeah, oh, yeah, I'm gonna try to just move on." And he kind of got to rocking back and forth, and you could tell that he was still in his feelings. And my neighbor had come back at this point, and we kind of explained what had happened, and he was just like, "What the hell, Bruce? I'm so sorry. Like, this is not the kind of behavior like I would expect. Like, I'm so sorry. He's never said anything like that around me before. Whatever." And I believe him because Michael's a great guy, and his other friend I'd hung out with a couple times before too, and he was great. So I don't believe that these are the kinds of people who would foster that kind of behavior. And so I was cool. But while I'm talking to Michael, he like the friend three just bounces out. He was like seven sheets to the wind at this point. He was wasted. He was so drunk, and he was out in the front trying to get into his car and drive off, like extremely drunk. And the other friend went and got him. They didn't come back in the backyard before I left because he was ashamed. He was so ashamed at that point that he was willing to get into a car and possibly drive to his death rather than sit in the shame he had created. And that to me was like a twofold tale because I didn't feel ashamed. I felt vindicated because I'd had a chance to prove to myself that everything that like all the work that I've done to pour my foundation, to build myself up, to make myself a better version of myself and one that is more in line with my values and who I am, it was all vindicated because I am a person who values education more than revenge. I want to help people learn. So whenever somebody comes at me with ignorance, I want to educate them. I don't want to hurt them. I want to give them a chance to come away from that conversation a better person who understands the people that they're going to interact with better. I don't want them to walk away and saying like, "Yep, he did exactly what I thought a black person would do in this situation." That's never what I want to give somebody. I want to always show up as me, and how would I want to mitigate that situation. And I did exactly that, and it wasn't even hard. It felt so natural to just be graceful and like to try to educate him. Does that mean every person that I come to who expresses racist behavior to me is going to be educated by the time we end our conversation? No, it does not. But it does mean I did my part. I did what I'm supposed to do. I behaved how I'm called to behave, how God has created and ordained me to behave in this world, and that is to be a person trying to spread education and growth and love and light, not hate and not fear and not shame and not guilt. I'm trying to like bring positivity in this world, and that was a moment that allowed me to do that because instead of handling it the way I always did, I got lost and I tried something that I wasn't familiar with. I wasn't comfortable with doing it that way. I was like I'd never just engaged in something so not toxic, what's what I'm looking for, so volatile in a way that was just, you know, because I wasn't even detached. It was just like I was engaged, but I was full of purpose. Like I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I knew that this was an opportunity to educate and to create a situation where value was put into the world, whether it was received or not is not my problem. Like I put the value out. That's my goal. Is put the value out and see if anybody else receives it. So that's what happens whenever you have your foundation built and you get lost. Your communication starts to improve, and you can give yourself faith that you actually know how to communicate with the people that you interact with because you've started to develop that foundation that gives you reference, that gives you guidance. And I can't emphasize it enough to have your foundation poured because everything else develops from the foundation. And I didn't put those, in the steps, I didn't put pour your foundation as the first one because sometimes you need to start to feel everything else before you get to that point so you understand how much you need it. Because it's like pouring your foundation is like getting the answers to the test before you even start studying. Like I want people to study just a little bit before I give them the study guide. And if they do the study guide, then they have the answers to the test. The answers to the test are your foundation of beliefs and values. That's the answers to the test. And if you are true and honest with defining those, and then you are true and honest with living those, it is going to change your life. Things are going to start to be ordered in a way in which you are going to come into the power that you are supposed to be claiming. And it has happened for me. And you know, I'm sure people are thinking right now is like he's working from home. He doesn't have a lot of clients. Like, what do you mean it's happening for you? It's like I feel that I am walking ordered steps. I feel that I'm doing what I've been called to do. And I feel that a huge change is right around the corner for me because I have faith in what has been given to me and what I'm doing. So, keeping it a little short today because my throat is raw. Um, that was get lost. Step 6, just get lost. But you have to have your foundation first. You have to start, you have to pour your foundation, then get lost. I hope somebody who saw this needed to hear this today. And I hope that you are receiving value from my lives. And I hope that everybody out there is learning to be the best versions of themselves that they can. And you're showing up authentically in your lives and you're engaging with passion and purpose. And if you're not, I would love to help you. I've still got time right now. I've got a few free sessions booked, but I'm doing 4-week mini coaching sessions, totally free. And I'd love to help you if you'd like it. So, anyways, to everybody out there, thank you for watching. Be yourself. Love yourself. Good night, everybody.